Have you ever had one of those days where you look at the clock and it's only 9:15 in the morning? You've already had your coffee, read the paper, watered the plants, and suddenly you're sitting there thinking, well, now what? The day stretches out ahead like an empty road, and it's so quiet you can almost hear the fridge humming. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone, and believe it or not, that quiet emptiness might be doing more harm than you think. Now, don't get me wrong. Peace and quiet are beautiful things. After a lifetime of running around, raising kids, working jobs, managing a household, finally getting a little stillness can feel like a gift. But there's a difference between rest and boredom. Rest refuels you. Boredom drains you. And over time, that kind of mental and emotional emptiness can start to nibble away at your health, your spirit, and yes, even your longevity. That might sound dramatic, but it's true. Boredom isn't just having nothing to do. It's what happens when your mind isn't engaged, your heart isn't inspired, and your days start to feel more like reruns and adventures. And the scary part is, it sneaks up on you. You don't wake up one morning and think, I'm bored, therefore I'm aging faster. But little by little, that sense of blah can lead to things like loneliness, depression, lack of movement, even poor sleep, all of which affect your health more than most people realize. But here's the good news. Boredom is not a life sentence. It's a signal, a gentle nudge from your soul saying, hey, I'm still here. Let's do something that makes me feel alive. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to have an honest, uplifting chat about how boredom can creep in, and more importantly, how to break free from it in ways that bring joy, energy, and maybe even a few belly laughs back into your life. Because you didn't come this far just to feel stuck on the couch watching game shows and waiting for dinner. You still have so much living left to do. Let's start with this idea. Variety is the spice of life. You've heard 1,000 times, but when you reach a certain age, routines can get very, routine. You wake up, have breakfast, maybe go for a walk, maybe watch the news, maybe talk to someone if they call. Day after day, the same pattern. And while predictability can feel safe, too much of it can dull your senses. Your brain, believe it or not, craves novelty. It doesn't need fireworks and bungee jumping. Though that's your thing, more power to you, but it does need fresh input. Something new to taste, learn, feel, explore. It could be something as simple as taking a different route on your walk. Trying a new recipe instead of your usual. Calling someone you haven't spoken to in years just to hear their voice again. Every time you do something even slightly different, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. Neurons fire. Dopamine, that lovely little feel-good chemical, gets released. You feel more awake, more curious, more you. And if you're thinking, well, that sounds nice, but I just don't feel like doing anything most days. I hear you. Truly, I do. It's not always easy to find motivation, especially if you live alone, or if your body doesn't move the way it used to, or if the world just feels a little less inviting than it once did. But sometimes, waiting to feel motivated is like waiting for the kettle to boil without turning the stove on. The feeling doesn't come first. The action does. You don't have to overhaul your life. Just shake it gently. Give it a new rhythm. Even a small change, like playing music during breakfast or sitting on the porch with a notebook and writing down 3 things you notice, can start to stir something inside you that's been asleep. Another important piece of this puzzle is connection. Boredom often hides in isolation. You might go the whole day without really talking to someone, not just hello at the store, but really talking. The kind of talk where someone looks you in the eye, asks how you're doing, and actually waits for the answer. We need that at every age, because when we share our thoughts, our memories, our silly stories, we come alive again. You remember that you have a place in this world, that your voice matters, that even if your circle has gotten smaller, your presence still lights someone's day. Maybe that means joining a local book club, or attending a community class, or even starting a small project with a friend. It doesn't have to be grand. You don't have to become the mayor of your neighborhood unless you want to. But a weekly coffee catch-up or a shared hobby can be the difference between another long week and something to look forward to. And let's talk for a moment about purpose. This is a big one. When we retire or when the kids grow up, or when life quiets down, it's easy to feel like we've handed in our final assignment, like we're done contributing. But let me tell you, that is simply not true. You still have gifts to offer, stories to tell, wisdom to share, a garden to grow, a neighbor to help, a grandchild to teach. You don't have to write a book or start a business, though, again, if that's in you, go for it. But having a reason to get out of bed, even a small one, is one of the strongest antidotes to boredom there is. Think about what used to make you feel alive. Was it painting? Was it fixing things around the house? Was it making people laugh? Teaching? Singing? Start there. Pick one thread and follow it. Let yourself be curious again. Let yourself tinker, experiment, get a little messy. You are allowed to enjoy yourself. You're not too old. You're not too late. And your days are not meant to be counted. They're meant to be filled. Now that we've talked about how routine, isolation, and lost purpose can quietly lead to boredom, let's gently open the door to something brighter, something more alive, more joyful, because your life isn't winding down. It's just beginning a new chapter, and you get to choose what kind of story you want to tell. So now that we've opened that door, let's step through it. Let's talk about joy, the kind that bubbles up when you least expect it. That feeling you get when you're completely immersed in something, and for a while, you forget what time it is, or whether the dishes are done, or what day of the week it even is. That kind of joy is powerful. And more importantly, it's medicine. Not the kind that comes in a bottle, but the kind that strengthens your heart, lifts your spirit, and gives you a reason to look forward to tomorrow. You know what often sparks that joy? Creativity. And before you say, "Oh, I'm not creative," let me stop you right there. Everyone is creative. It's not about painting like Van Gogh or writing like Hemingway. It's about using your imagination. It's about playing. Yes, playing. Adults forget how to play. We get so used to being serious, responsible, efficient. We forget that joy often hides in the silly, the spontaneous, and the imperfect. Pick up a pencil and sketch something. Anything. Grab some old magazines and make a collage. Write a poem. Sing a song out loud while you're making lunch. It doesn't matter how good it is. What matters is how it makes you feel. Creativity puts you in a state of flow, where your brain is focused, your heart is open, and your body relaxes. And when that happens, boredom doesn't stand a chance. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the body. We often think of boredom as a mental or emotional issue, but it's deeply connected to how we move or don't move. A sluggish body feeds a sluggish mind. And when our days are mostly spent sitting in front of the TV at the kitchen table on the same old porch chair, our energy starts to dim, not because we're getting old, but because we're not giving our body the signals it needs to stay awake and engaged. Here's the thing. Movement doesn't have to mean exercise in a traditional sense. It doesn't have to be about burning calories or following a routine. It can simply be about feeling alive in your body. That could be a slow dance in the living room to your favorite old tune, a stretch first thing in the morning while the coffee's brewing, a little stroll around the garden where you stop and really look at each flower, each leaf, as if you're seeing them for the first time. The more you move, the more oxygen flows to your brain. The more you stretch, the more energy circulates. The more you use your body, the more your mind wakes up. And when your body and mind are in motion, boredom slips quietly out the back door. And let's not forget the healing power of learning. Yes, learning, even now, especially now. You might have more free time than you've ever had before. That's a gift. And one of the best ways to use it is to keep learning. Why? Because when we stop learning, our world shrinks. But when we stay curious, our world stays wide and full of wonder. Maybe you've always wanted to speak a little Italian, or learn how to bake the perfect loaf of bread, or understand how the stars work. You don't need a classroom or a textbook, just a willingness to explore. Watch a documentary, take an online class, ask your grandchild to teach you how to use a new app, read a book on something you've never studied before. Your brain will thank you. Your spirit will too. Because here's the beautiful truth. Every time you learn something new, your brain forms fresh connections. That means stronger memory, sharper thinking, and, yes, more protection against age-related decline. But even more than that, it gives you something to be excited about, something to work toward, something that makes you feel like you're still growing, still discovering, still alive. And that's what all of this comes down to, staying alive in the fullest sense of the word. Not just breathing, not just going through the motions, but living, feeling, participating in life, even in the quiet seasons. Even on the days when no one calls and the sky is gray. Even then, you don't need to fill every moment with activity. You don't need to be constantly busy. But when you find yourself drifting into that empty space, when time feels heavy and the hours stretch out too long, that's your invitation to try something different, to shake things up, to give your heart and your mind a little nudge. Maybe that means planting herbs in small pots on your windowsill. Maybe it means joining a community group, even if it's just once a month. Maybe it's as simple as turning on music you used to love and letting yourself remember how it made you feel. These aren't just nice ideas, they're life-giving, because you're still here, still breathing, still able to grow. That spark inside you, the one that laughed at silly jokes, that danced barefoot in the kitchen, that stayed up late talking about dreams, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just waiting for you to say, I'm not done yet. And you're not by a long shot. So as we talked about creativity, movement, and learning, these aren't chores. They're doorways, paths back to yourself, paths out of boredom, and into a life that still has flavor, color, and warmth. You have a choice. Every morning, you can let the days blur together, or you can light a match and add a little spark. Your life doesn't have to be exciting to be meaningful, but it does need your presence, your attention, your willingness to ask, what small thing can I do today that makes me feel alive? Because even the smallest spark can light the way. And once that spark is lit, it starts to spread. You might find that one small action, a new hobby, a daily walk, a creative project, leads you to something even more meaningful. That's the beauty of momentum. It doesn't need to start big, just enough to stir something inside you. And from there, a quiet kind of magic begins to unfold. Days feel fuller. Moments feel brighter. You start to see things differently, even if nothing outside you has changed. That's not coincidence. That's life waking back up. Now let's talk about connection. Maybe the most powerful antidote to boredom of all. Human beings aren't meant to live in isolation. We're wired for connection, even if we enjoy solitude. And the truth is, as we get older, our circles sometimes get smaller. Friends move away, loved ones pass, routines change. Before we know it, loneliness sneaks in, disguised as quiet afternoons and early nights. It can feel harmless at first, even comfortable, but over time, it weighs on the heart. It dulls the senses. It steals our appetite for life. But connection doesn't always have to mean a packed social calendar or big gatherings. It can be small and intentional. A phone call to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. A chat with a neighbor while checking the mail. Joining a book club, a walking group, or a local class. Even just once a week. It's not about how many people are around you. It's about how connected you feel to the world outside your front door. Even writing letters, old-fashioned letters, can be a way to rekindle connection. Or video calling your grandkids just to hear about their day. When we reach out, we're reminded that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. That our stories, our voices, our presence, they still matter. And that feeling alone can chase boredom away like sunlight through an open window. Now, something that's often overlooked when talking about boredom is purpose. You see, purpose isn't just something we need when we're working or raising a family. It's something we need at every stage of life. And without it, life starts to feel like a waiting room, just passing time. But when we wake up with a reason, even a small one, the day takes on a different shape. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. You don't need to change the world. You just need to care about something. Maybe it's tending to a garden, caring for a pet, helping a neighbor, volunteering at a local food pantry, or writing down memories for your children and grandchildren. Maybe it's deciding to master a new skill, or even just showing up for yourself with kindness and care. You can even make it your purpose to spread joy, a smile, a compliment, a kind word. Those little acts ripple farther than we think, and they give us a reason to keep showing up. Because when you matter to someone else, even in the smallest way, you remember that your life still has weight, still has value, and let's not forget humor. Laughter is the best kind of rebellion against boredom. When you can laugh, really laugh, everything softens. The walls come down. The heaviness lifts. You remember that life isn't meant to be so serious all the time. Watch funny movies. Share jokes. Reminisce about the ridiculous things that happened in your younger years. Humor is healing, and it connects us to each other in the most human way. Sometimes just the act of laughing is enough to break through a bored or lonely spell. It reminds you that even on the hardest days, you still have access to joy. You still have light within you. Now, none of this is about pretending that boredom never visits. Of course it does. Everyone gets bored sometimes. That's part of being human. But the danger comes when we settle into it, when we let it build a home in our hearts. That's when it starts to chip away at us, physically, mentally, emotionally. That's when it becomes a quiet thief of time and vitality. But now you know it doesn't have to stay that way. You have tools. You have choices. You have that spark, and you know how to feed it. Through curiosity, through creativity, through connection, movement, learning, laughter, and above all, purpose. And remember, it's never too late to begin again. That's something a lot of people forget. They think, well, I'm 70 or 80 or 90, it's too late for me. But that's simply not true. As long as you're here, there's more life to live. There are still songs to sing, stories to share, and smiles to give. Your best days don't have to be behind you. They can be right in front of you, just waiting to be noticed. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You matter. Your presence matters. Your joy matters. And boredom may try to sneak in now and then, but it doesn't get the final say. You do. Every single day, you get to choose how you show up. You get to shape your experience. Not by doing more, but by doing what truly matters to you. It's never about perfection. It's about connection. To yourself, to others, to the little things that make life feel rich and full. So go ahead. Dance in your socks. Try a new recipe. Send that message. Laugh out loud. Learn something wild and unexpected. Let your spirit stretch and grow. Because the truth is, when you choose to live fully, even in small, quiet ways, boredom loses its grip. And in its place, vitality, peace, joy, and a life that feels like yours again. So here we are, standing at this gentle crossroad, between the life we've been used to and the life we still have the power to shape. And the truth is, there's something kind of exciting about that, isn't there? The idea that no matter how many birthdays we've celebrated, we can still choose new colors to paint our days with. We can still change the rhythm of our routines. We can still say, you know what? I want more joy. I want more meaning. I want to feel alive again. And you deserve that, not because you've earned it or proven anything, but simply because you're here. And being here means there's still something beautiful ahead. Maybe it's in the conversations you haven't had yet. Maybe it's in a poem you haven't written, a garden you haven't planted, or a friend you haven't met. The point is, boredom isn't your final chapter. It's just a reminder, a gentle nudge that you're ready for something richer. It starts, as most things do, with one step. Not 10, not a leap, just one step in the direction of what lights you up. Maybe that means rearranging your living space to make it feel fresh again, or waking up a bit earlier to watch the sunrise with a warm drink in hand, or picking up an instrument you used to play, even if your fingers aren't quite as quick as they used to be. These things aren't frivolous. They're life-giving. They're what keep the spirit engaged, what keep the brain curious, and what help the body follow along. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to master anything. You just need to enjoy the act of living. Because joy, even quiet, steady joy, is one of the most powerful medicines for aging well. And let's not underestimate the impact of little routines that nourish the soul. Lighting a candle in the evening, listening to music that brings back memories, journaling before bed, talking to your plants, laughing at old sitcoms, wearing your favorite color, just because These aren't silly or extra. They're the rituals of someone who's saying, I still care about how I feel. I still care about being alive. Sometimes we wait for life to become exciting before we engage with it. But the real trick? Engage with it first. That's what flips the switch. That's what says to your mind, to your body, and to your heart, hey, we're still in this. We're still choosing joy. And if you ever feel stuck, like really stuck, I want you to know you're not alone. Everyone feels that way sometimes, regardless of age. But feeling stuck doesn't mean you're out of options. Sometimes it just means you need a little kindness, especially from yourself. A reminder that you're allowed to move slow. You're allowed to start small. You're allowed to try something and not love it, and then try something else. That's the beauty of this chapter. It's yours to design. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, well, I'm not bored, I just feel a bit flat, like the spark is missing, that's still worth paying attention to. Because boredom doesn't always feel loud or frustrating. Sometimes it feels like quiet detachment, like nothing really excites you anymore. And that's the kind that creeps in slowly, the kind that steals years, not just afternoons. But here's the good news. The moment you notice it, you've already started shifting it. Awareness is powerful. It's like turning on the light in a dim room. Now you can begin choosing things that make you feel engaged again, that remind you you're not just watching life happen. You're still living it, actively, intentionally. And yes, there may be things you can't do the way you used to. That's okay. Aging isn't about holding on to everything. It's about holding on to what matters and letting the rest evolve. It's about finding new ways to feel fulfilled, strong, creative, connected. It's about realizing that your story isn't just something behind you. It's also something right here, still unfolding. So go ahead, try something unexpected, wear something bold, compliment a stranger, start a journal with your memories, learn a dance from the internet. Even if you mess it up completely, reach out to someone you've been thinking about. Make a silly video just for fun. Chase the kind of boredom away that says, there's nothing left for me, because there is. There always is. You have something the world needs. Your laughter, your wisdom, your perspective, your stories. And sometimes fixing boredom is as simple as remembering you still have value, not just to others, but to yourself. You're still someone worth showing up for, every single day. So don't let boredom rob you of what's ahead. Don't let it shrink your world when it could still be expanding. Choose to stay curious. Choose to stay connected. Choose to keep planting seeds of joy, even if you don't know exactly what will bloom. Because when you do, when you live with intention, with a bit of playfulness, with that quiet sense of, I'm not done yet, everything changes. You don't have to change the whole world. Just change the shape of your next hour. That's enough. That's where it begins. Because a full, vibrant life isn't measured in grand achievements. It's measured in how alive you feel inside your own skin. How often you smile for no reason. How many days you end feeling grateful. And if you're still here with me watching, that tells me something wonderful. You're someone who still believes in what's possible. You're someone who wants to feel more, laugh more, live more, even now, especially now. So, if you found something in this video that made you pause or smile or feel even a tiny spark, I'd love for you to share in the comments. Tell me how boredom has shown up in your life and what you've done or will do to shake things up. I love hearing your stories. We all do. And if this message spoke to you, please give a like. It helps us reach more people just like you. Don't forget to subscribe if you like more videos to help you live your best, boldest life, no matter your age. Until next time, remember this. You're not too old, you're not too late, and you're definitely not done. Here's to feeling alive, staying curious, and living the kind of life that makes you excited to wake up in the morning. You've got this. And I'm cheering you on.